The Oval Office, a chamber built to symbolize the solemnity of the American presidency, echoed yesterday not with the weight of policy, but with the sneer of insult. Donald Trump, returning to his familiar theater of provocation, unleashed a remark that ricocheted through the political world like a gunshot. Jasmine Crockett is a very low IQ person. The words were tossed out casually, like an aside to a question he didn't want to answer. But the casual cruelty was deliberate. The insult was familiar, the dog whistle unmistakable. Trump has used the same phrase countless times to denigrate his critics, especially black politicians, journalists, and women who dare confront him. It is a trope wrapped in racial undertones, calculated to stir applause from his loyalist base while demeaning the credibility of his opponents. Yet this time, the insult landed not on a faceless enemy, but on Jasmine Crockett, the Texas Democrat who has earned a reputation for wielding her sharp tongue like a prosecutorial blade. Crockett is not merely another backbencher in Congress. She is one of the most visible new stars of the Democratic caucus, a woman whose cross-examinations have gone viral, whose speeches draw comparisons to a courtroom drama, and whose Texas firebrand style has made her a darling of the MSNBC audience and a menace to Republican witnesses on Capitol Hill. Trump's jab was supposed to belittle. Instead, it ignited. You're watching the latest. Make sure to subscribe and tap that like button to stay informed. Within hours, Crockett appeared on MSNBC, her tone calm but her message unflinching. When you stand up to a bully, you win. Don't back down. Don't bow your head. You let them carry out their threats. Because the moment you give in, democracy itself begins to vanish. The remark electrified viewers. Crockett was not merely defending herself. She was framing the insult as evidence of a larger assault on America's institutions. The attack on her intelligence became a metaphor for Trump's broader project, silencing dissent, punishing opponents, and bending the Constitution to his will. But here lies the question that lingers like smoke in a closed room. Was Trump's insult simply the undisciplined tantrum of a man known for verbal barbs? Or was it part of a deeper pattern, an orchestrated campaign to intimidate critics, delegitimize oversight, and normalize the language of authoritarianism? Crockett herself seemed to lean toward the latter. In her MSNBC appearance, she ticked through Trump's record like an indictment sheet. His pressure campaigns on former Attorney General Pam Bondi to pursue political prosecutions, his obsession with late-night comedian Jimmy Kimmel for daring to lampoon him, his fixation on FBI Director James Comey even after Comey's fall from grace. If everyone starts bowing down, then what's left of our democracy will disappear, Crockett warned. And unfortunately, that's exactly what he wants. And worse, he has followers who are fine with that. The stage was set. Trump had thrown a punch. Crockett had answered not with wounded pride, but with a rallying cry. Quick reminder before we go deeper. If you want more stories that cut through the noise and expose what others won't say, make sure to like this video and subscribe. Your support keeps this kind of reporting alive. The word intelligence has always been a loaded currency in American politics. It is wielded not just as a measure of aptitude, but as a weapon of social hierarchy. When Trump calls someone low IQ, it is not merely a schoolyard taunt. It is a calculated strike at their legitimacy, a coded signal to his base. In Crockett's case, the insult carried extra venom. The history is long. Trump has repeatedly labeled black critics as unintelligent. Maxine Waters was low IQ. Don Lemon was the dumbest man on television. Even Barack Obama, in subtle digs, was painted as an empty suit who got by on style, not brains. It is a script Trump never tires of, because it serves his politics of grievance, casting himself as the genius outsider, besieged by fools. You're watching the latest. Make sure to subscribe and tap that like button to stay informed. But Crockett's rebuttal flipped the script. Instead of merely defending her intelligence, She reframed the insult as an attack on the Constitution itself. How can you call yourself an American when you're okay with throwing away the Constitution? She asked on air, her voice tinged with disbelief. When you're okay with someone deciding the outcome they want and then just ordering the system to make it happen? The comment cut deeper than Trump's insult. It suggested that intelligence was not measured by SAT scores or Ivy League diplomas, but by a willingness to defend democratic norms. By that measure, Trump, who bungled basic words on camera, and who once declared, "Nobody knew healthcare could be so complicated," seemed like the one failing the test. The irony was irresistible to commentators. While Trump mocked Crockett's IQ, he himself had just gone viral for stumbling over the pronunciation of acetaminophen and uttering the baffling phrase, "Nothing bad can happen. Only good things can happen." Late-night hosts pounced, labeling it a self-own of historic proportions. But while comedians mocked, Crockett dissected. She pointed to the legal implications of Trump's pressure campaigns. Pam Bondi, once Florida's attorney general, had been urged to pursue prosecutions against Trump's enemies. In New York, Attorney General Letitia James faced threats of retaliation for investigating Trump's finances. In Congress, Adam Schiff became a fixation of Trump's wrath, targeted for daring to lead impeachment efforts. "This isn't about me," Crockett said. "This is about a man who believes he can weaponize the legal system against anyone who crosses him. That's not democracy. That's dictatorship by another name." The power of her words came not just from what she said, but from how she said it. Crockett, a former defense attorney, speaks with the cadence of the courtroom. Precise, deliberate, each phrase designed to echo like testimony. When she described Trump's behavior as the moral bankruptcy of leadership, it landed less like rhetoric and more like a closing argument. Meanwhile, Trump doubled down. When pressed again by reporters, he dismissed Crockett with another sneer. She shouldn't even be in Congress. Between her and Ilhan Omar, I don't know what's happening to this country. It was a 1-2 punch. Delegitimize her intelligence, then delegitimize her very right to hold office. Yet this strategy, once effective, now showed cracks. For every clip of Trump mocking, there were 10 clips of Crockett dissecting him with surgical calm. Social media tilted in her favor. Hashtags like #Crockett clapback and #low IQ Trump trended, flipping the insult back on its source. The anatomy of the insult revealed itself. Trump sought to diminish. Crockett expanded. Trump wanted to erase. Crockett illuminated. In the tension between them, a larger battle line was drawn, between a politics of bullying and a politics of resistance. You're watching the latest. Make sure to subscribe and tap that like button to stay informed. By evening, the clash had transcended the insult itself. It became a referendum on what America was willing to tolerate in its leaders. Some supporters of Trump dismissed the controversy, saying, "He's just being Trump." But that phrase itself has become a kind of national shrug, an excuse for behavior that, from any other president, would trigger outrage. Crockett's refusal to shrug was her defiance. She spoke of law schools, of the oaths lawyers take, of the ethical codes that demand more than blind loyalty. "There should be some level of morality in what we do when we walk into court," she said. "Now we have people who either don't know the law or simply don't care." Her words resonated with those who fear that democracy is being hollowed from within. If attorneys and judges can be pressured into political vendettas, then the very machinery of justice collapses. Crockett framed herself as a sentinel guarding the gates not for her own sake, but for the Republic's. And that is where the story reached its crescendo. The insult about IQ, trivial on the surface, became the trigger for a larger confrontation about power, race, democracy, and dignity. Crockett predicted Trump's fate with the precision of an attorney predicting a verdict. If he decides to keep walking this path, they will keep losing. And I don't see the former FBI director agreeing to some apology deal. He will fight this to the end. The subtext was clear. Crockett was not just talking about James Comey. She was talking about herself, about every critic, every institution, every American who refuses to bow. The Oval Office sneer may have been meant to humiliate her. Instead, it crowned her. Crockett emerged from the insult not diminished but magnified, her profile elevated, her voice amplified, her defiance solidified. And so the story closes, not with resolution, but with reckoning. The question that remains is not whether Crockett has the intelligence to hold office. Her sharp words and strategic mind have answered that. The question is whether America has the intelligence to recognize the stakes, a democracy tested not by bombs or borders, but by the slow erosion of truth, decency, and the courage to resist a bully. Trump's insult was meant as dismissal. It became a dare, and Crockett accepted.